All right, Newsa-Cast listeners, this is time for our throwback, and we're rolling all the way back to 1996 this year, Joe, with Robin
Great
Yount.
year. Yes,
Yeah,
Rockin' Robin. 96,
Rockin'
by the way,
Robin.
Tosh. Yes, Rockin' Robin in 96 was a fantastic year.
Yeah, if you think about two Brewer players that you grew up watching, Robin Yount and Paul Molitor.
Yeah, without a doubt, number 19, Robin Yount. I mean, he started in the big leagues at 18. I mean, that
Right.
doesn't happen too often, even in this day. There's a couple of guys that have done it, but yeah, he came up as a shortstop.
Yep.
What won an MVP at shortstop, won an MVP at center field.
Center field.
Yeah, what an athlete. And that guy still looks fantastic. He looks like he can
Oh,
play right now, doesn't he?
yeah, he does. I've seen him in a couple of interviews. I think he is a part owner of the Lakeshore Chinooks, which is a wood bat team, college team that plays
Yeah.
down in Mequon. And yeah, he comes on some of those interviews with the Brewers and stuff, and he still looks fantastic. Riding his Harley. Remember him riding his Harley into County Stadium?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, just a fantastic athlete. I mean, you look at some of these players coming in, these young players like Ella De La Cruz for Cincinnati. He's 19 years old, playing
Yes.
for them, and he's huge though. He's like 6'7", 6'8". But Molitor at that time, just an all around athlete, just looked the part,
Yes.
and just fluid. I mean, he was rocking Robin. He was one of the smoothest players that I can ever remember watching. Now, if I'm not mistaken, Joe, and you can correct me on this, I believe that Robin had one of the highest first ballot entries into the Hall of Fame. Did he not?
I believe you're correct, Tosh. I don't have the stats in front of me,
Yeah.
but I yes, he and absolutely should be well deserved. I mean, that guy
Yeah.
was a Hall of Famer. 3,000 hits, MVP at two different positions. I mean, come on, that's a no brainer.
I think there was a classic commercial about that with George Brett,
Yes,
where,
yes.
yeah, just kind of came to me. I forgot about that. Yeah.
And that was at a time too. The Brewers were in the American League back then, so
Right.
Brett and Yount went up against each other.
Absolutely.
Quite often those series.
The big thing in here is it's a shorter. It was when the Red Smith Banquet was more of just guys coming up and talking instead of
Yes.
being interviewed. So it's a shorter piece, but we think you're going to enjoy this, and hopefully, if you like this, you can continue to look at our throwbacks on YouTube, and if you like our podcast, you can continue to look at anywhere you get your podcasts and hit subscribe and continue to get our podcasts each week.
We've done a dozen of these throwbacks now. This is the 12th one that we've put out. So we have a nice selection of some are longer, some are shorter. I mean, Bill Walton was 4 weeks ago, and I think Bill is still continuing to talk. But then you have Robin Yount and Gilbert Brown last week. They're a little bit shorter, but sweet and to the point. And it's great to see those guys again. That an interview that we haven't seen in 30 years. It's kind of cool to go sit back and listen to it again.
Absolutely.
At this time, I'd like Judge Bob Cannon to come up and make the presentation of the Red Smith Award. Judge Cannon.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm very, very happy to have the opportunity of coming back here to present the 1996 Red Smith Award to a great Major League ball player and a great individual, Robin Yount. I've had the privilege of knowing Robin for many, many years. I remember back in the early 1970s when I was vice president of the Milwaukee Brewers, Robin came up for his first year in the major leagues. I remember over those many 20 years thereafter, I remember the years that he received the MVP award on 2 different occasions. And he was only one of 3 major league ball players who has received the MVP award as a shortstop and as a left fielder. I remember Robin Yount. Getting his 3,000th, 150th hit in the major leagues. I remember Robin Yount as one of the great players in the history of the game. I noticed tonight when we were sitting here at the speaker's table how courteous and respectful he was to everyone who came up to solicit his autograph. I remember how solicitous he was of the waitresses here when they put a fork or put a knife in front of him. He said, "Thank you." He's a good eater, he's a good listener, and he's a great individual. He's a credit not only to Major League Baseball, he's a credit to the Milwaukee Brewers Baseball Club. And it's only going to be within a couple of years from now when Robin Yount will be in the Hall of Fame. He's a Hall of Famer on the field of competition, as he is a Hall of Famer off the field of competition. And tonight, Robin, it's my honor and my privilege to present to you the 1996 award, the Red Smith Award, to a great individual, a great ball player, and a great friend, Robin Yount.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, Judge Gannon. But that was a second baseman and a right fielder. I was gonna end with this, but it's getting late and I want to make sure some of the kids out there are still awake. They wanted me to say something to the kids out there that are benefiting from the banquet tonight. And I think if I have any regret in my career, well, there'd be two of them. One of them would be that we played in a few more World Series. But the second one would have been that I would have gone to college before I signed to play professional ball. And if I could emphasize anything to the young people out there, I think it would be to, especially I know this benefits the young athletes. This goes to the kids playing sports. I would just like to emphasize to them that they work as hard in the classroom as they do on the field. And I would really encourage them, especially in today's age of athletics in college being as good as they are, to go to college before you even think about any kind of professional career. There's a number of things that I wished I could have learned in college. I think I would have taken some sort of business class and learned how to manage my finances. I certainly would have taken an engineering class, and I would like to have understood better the way an Indy car works. And I certainly would have taken a public speaking class so I'd be more comfortable up here. But anyhow, when they first called me and asked me to be a recipient of the Red Smith Award, I'll be perfectly honest, I wasn't real sure what the Red Smith Award was. But when I saw the list of past recipients, it became very clear to me that it was a great honor. I was in Appleton this summer, actually, for the first time, and it's changed a lot since I was here. Not really for the better, in my opinion. But actually, I've had a great time here the last two times, or this time and last time. Everyone's been very cordial, very hospitable here, and I know you're real close to Green Bay, and I know we all feel a little bummed out right now about what happened to, can I call them our Packers? I kind of feel a closeness to them. But you know, I can see a little bit of, you know, the good teams we had in the late 70s and early 80s. I mean, we kind of moved one step at a time, getting closer and closer to finally making it to the World Series. And I can see that in the Packers right now. They're only a year away. I think they'll be there next year. I mean that honestly. You know, Randy's going to speak here a little bit later. We actually have something in common. Randy and I are both from the same part of the San Fernando Valley in L.A. And believe it or not, Randy and my brother-in-law, what did you played? You surfed together, or you played Little League together, or something like that? Yeah, so Randy and I, we go way back. I'd like to congratulate Mr. Heeman. I've known him on and off, met him a number of times throughout my career, and there is no doubt he is one nice guy. And I will like to also congratulate all the local recipients tonight, and just thank you all for having me.
Hello, I'm Fred Rogers. You know, making music can be a mighty healthy way for us to express ourselves. It can become a child's way if that child is encouraged to use it early on. It's music educators who can help generations of young people find such healthy ways in life. Please call this toll-free number to find out more about how you can support music in the schools. Music for a sound education.